That first sip though. Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a full day reading. So it is a training day. It is Sunday, so that means we have Sunday mass down at abs. So Sunday in abs is typically a squat session. Today I'm 1 week out from my competition, so basically just be going through my last warm-ups for squats. So we're working up to 215 for 3 singles, have some relatively heavy bench to do, and then just a little bit of accessories at the end. You know, gotta still look after the pipes. So yeah, pretty much that's the plan for training today. So yeah, my meals will be slightly different to how they are midweek, just in terms of the way I have different kind of meals to kind of switch around. So I'll kind of take you through that. But first up is obviously going to be meal 1. I think if I'm transitioning into bodybuilding, I call it meal 1. I don't call it breakfast. Isn't that correct?
But first, we question existence. Almost finished this, and I can tell you it is a slog. Don't know if I'd recommend, but I'm too stubborn to quit. I'm like 541 pages in, there's like 40 pages to go, so, you know, fuck you, Nietzsche. Right, so this is gonna be meal 1, not all together. I'm gonna be having 75 grams of oats with 200 grams of milk, whole milk, and then we also have some of this stuff, absolutely elite. If you don't know, get to know. They stock it in Aldi. So that is going to be part 2 of the breakfast, and then we're also going to have 4 of these, 2 eggs, and actually I forgot to take out the bagels. I'm gonna salt the eggs, of course, as well as put some salt and oats for the flavor. We're gonna have one of these. I'm gonna put my bacon and eggs in them, and then I'll be using a little bit of butter as well on the bagel.
You know, recording this, I'm actually really realizing how fucking pale I am, and I also look very tired. Hasn't been the best of weeks, I'm not gonna lie, for sleep. I should probably actually tell you how many calories I am eating, because I mean that's kind of important, isn't it? I am eating 3,800 calories at the moment. I think that works out at around 240 protein, 530 carb, and around 80 fat. I'll try the macros on screen anyway. That's kind of what I'm trying to hit today, okay? So I'll put up calories as well for the first meal on the screen too. And yeah, we'll take from there. As well, this week in particular, I am going to be doing a weight cut. So woke up this morning, it's about 94.9. So I had to weigh it in at the under 93 for next Sunday. Now this week, I will be recording my kind of approach to the weight cut, which will be kind of drilled into me by Brian, my nutritionist. Now, to be honest, that kind of 94.9, that was a heavy weigh in for me this morning. I did have a takeaway last night, so would have spiked my weight through the increased sodium, maybe a little bit more carbs than I'm used to, and then I think there's a good bit more veg in it as well than I would have in my kind of later meal. So probably extra fiber as well, adding a bit more kind of stomach content, so having me weigh in a little bit lighter than usual. Usually I'm about 94.1 pretty much most mornings. So yeah, the kind of aim for this week is going to be to reduce my carbohydrates and try to weigh in at under 93 for next weekend. But then again, look, that's for a different video, so we'll just kind of take today first. Oh yeah. Yeah, if you are not air frying your bagels, what the fuck are you doing with your life? So this is breakfast part 1, so very delicious. We got them eggs, we got the bacon medallions there. I'm gonna chow down into this. Breakfast part 2, we have the oats. Cook these in the microwave. They're nicer from a pot, but my stove is actually just too shit to actually cook them on the stove. Have to make my butter in there too. And I forgot to include this, so I have about 350 mils of juice, cranberry juice there. So yes, I am on the juice. Fake natty coming at you. But yeah, so this is meal 1 part 2. So yeah, gonna get stuck into this, and then it is time to train. So in the morning, supplements are 3 of these bad boys. So some fish oils, because I eat 0 fish in my diet, so I need to get some EPA or DHA
into my body. And then as well, 5 grams of this every single day forever. Then as well, it is a training day, so I'm gonna put this into my cranberry juice. I would just scoop it, but it is incredibly sour. So it kind of does actually improve the taste of cranberry juice as well, putting this in it, strangely enough. So yeah, gonna have this now. And the reasons I kind of take all these, so omega-3s, as I mentioned, don't eat any kind of oily fish. EPA and DHA, they are essential fatty acids, and we can't get them from anywhere in the diet other than oily fish. So that's why I supplement with them. So they're important for like heart health. They can reduce cardiovascular incidents. And so like, you know, heart attack, stroke, that kind of stuff may reduce my chances of developing cardiovascular disease, which, you know, obviously wouldn't be a fun time. Creatine, monohydrate, so the most researched supplement when it comes to strength and power. So, you know, being a powerlifter, being somebody who wants to gain muscle, I want it, so it's going to help me to accrue more volume over training blocks, more volume, more mechanical tension, better muscle gains, and potentially better strength gains. Then this, so this is a vasodilator, so essentially that means that it's going to increase blood flow. If you have better blood flow during sessions, you're going to get more nutrients to the muscles that you're using, going to get more oxygen to the muscles that you're using, so you're going to be able to produce more volume, more mechanical tension, better gains. All right, so that's pretty much the kind of logic behind using these. Very, very cheap for all of these. Well, omega-3s are probably the more expensive ones, but creatine, you know, that's a kilo bag. I think that was like maybe 20 euro for a kilo, like, you know, 5 grams a day, gonna last me for a long time. And then this as well, this is also very cheap. You can get this, and this is going to be in most kind of formulated pre-workout powders. However, you know, if you're paying whatever 40-50 euro for a pre-workout supplement and maybe don't want to be using caffeine all the time, which I don't really use caffeine that much other than very, very important sessions. This is just handy to have, because like this, caffeine and maybe beta alanine, if you're going to be doing like more endurance work or very, very high rep stuff, they're probably the only 3 things I'd probably recommend for having pre-workout. So there's no point kind of wasting all your money, you know, on some kind of pre-workout supplement that may just end up fucking up your sleep, and you're going to get a little benefit from it. Okay, so save your pockets and save your sleep, and just get this beta alanine and caffeine tablets, and you can kind of cycle through them as you please.
So that is training done. So next up is going to be post-workout meal. Post-workout meal is about to go down. So I was having 5 meals, but now I'm only having 4, so I'm having kind of 2 meals in one. So I was having a protein shake, but now I kind of switched over to 400 mils of this. I was also having some cream of rice, but I've switched over to a bagel and some maple syrup. Child's food. It's like fucking from it's like an elf where he has the fucking huge bowl of food, was having a fucking maple syrup poured on bread. Carbs and carbs, boy. And then I am also gonna have on the side, I'm gonna have a fruit smoothie to get in some fruit and some fiber. So I have some of Emma's whey. This is not mine, so when you're watching this back, thank you, Emma. I also am going to use a combination of blueberries, raspberries and smoothie mix. Fantastic combination. Coconut milk for the liquid, and then I'll have one banana. So yeah, that's pretty much the post-workout meal, and I'll show you when it's made. So this is it here. So I have 400 mils of the chalky milk there. So Aldi, obviously, because you know Aldi is the best. I have my fruit smoothie here, and I have my bagels with maple syrup right there. Maybe different post-workout meal than people may think that you should be having after training, but I mean, as always, context is everything. I don't know what to do with my hands. I feel like fucking Will Ferrell in Talladega Nights.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Be good just to hold them down by your side. Yeah, great.
Well, we're real happy with
But yeah, so like, I mean, context is key. Okay, so I have to remember I'm eating 3,800 calories. It's not terribly high, but it is higher than most people. If a client came to me and asked me what should I have post-workout, I probably wouldn't recommend they have this, especially if they were on, like, you know, less than 3,000 calories. So for the most part, like, my kind of food selection here, right, so I have chocolate milk here. Okay, so there is decent amount of carbohydrates in it. There is going to be protein, there's going to be calcium, vitamin B12, like, you know, the actual milk itself is fortified, and it's quite calorie dense. Okay, so it's easy for me to get down a couple of hundred calories by just having a glass of that, which is going to have little impact on my satiety, which means I'm going to be able to eat another meal relatively soon. Again, with the bagel, it is going to be there's going to be low satiety value to it, so I'm not going to be very full after having it. There is going to be a lot of like simple sugars in that as well, so it's going to digest quite easy. Again, so that means I'm going to be able to eat relatively quick after. As well, it's just nice, you know what I mean? At the same time, does everything in your diet need to be geared towards health? No, like, you know, you do have a little margin of flexibility that you can incorporate, and you'll see throughout the rest of my meals that, you know, this is as like bad or like junk food as I get, and even within that, it's still decent enough nutrition, you know, given I just did a training session with, albeit it wasn't like the most high intensity session, but it was a session nonetheless, and I'm really prioritizing my recovery at the moment. And then for the smoothie, like, I mean, whey protein source, have your fortified coconut milk in there too, and then as well I have whatever, like 250 grams or whatever of fruit, and that, if not 350 grams of fruit actually in this too, you know, so that is going to give me a decent amount of fiber, a lot of micronutrients, and it is going to improve the overall satiety value of the meal. So if I do want to eat a little bit later, I can afford to, because I'm going to still be a little bit full from having that smoothie. Another thing people will ask is, well, is having the fruit frozen gonna be as beneficial as if I eat it? And like, there's like a few different answers you can give to this. So number one, you could say, well, it's probably not going to be as filling, okay, because if you were to take into account the amount of time it would take me to eat all that fruit. So I have 75 grams of blueberries, tropical mix, as well as the raspberries, and then 100 grams of banana. It would take me way longer to actually eat that than it will to actually drink it. And there is a bit of research to say that if you're chewing your food for a bit longer, or you spend a bit more time eating your food, you're going to improve the overall satiety of that meal. So that means I may not necessarily be as full after this as if I had eaten it in general, okay? So if you're in a fat loss phase, that is going to be a very important consideration. However, personally, I'm a bit of a child. I don't necessarily like eating fruit. Like, I've got no problem with vegetables, but fruit, for whatever reason, just don't like eating it on its own as much. So this allows me to get my fruit in, and like, obviously I'm going to get less benefit from a satiety standpoint in the diet, but I'm still getting it in. I'm still going to be getting fiber into the diet. I'm still going to be getting micronutrients into the diet. You know, again, that's somewhere where context is going to be quite important. Another thing that we can say there is, like, well, depending on how long you're kind of actually kind of keeping the stuff in your mouth, maybe it's not going to digest as well. So one of the enzymes that we produce in our mouth is called amylase. So amylase does help to break down carbohydrates, it helps to break down sugars. So that is going to be one stage of digestion that is going to be taken care of when you're actually eating food and chewing food, versus, you know, if you're having a smoothie and you're just drinking it, and the carbohydrates may not get this chance to be fully broken down before they go down to the esophagus and then into the stomach, well, then maybe this may cause a little bit of indigestion. But then again, that's going to really depend on the speed at which you're having it, and then as well the volume of food. One thing that will always we'll come back to when we're talking about digestion, like in future videos, is, like, you know, volume of food is very, very important. If you're having low volume food, and if you're having not a huge amount of calories, that is going to take less time to actually be digested. However, high volume foods, high fiber foods, anything that is going to be high calorie, that is going to take longer, just by the nature of it being bigger volume, bigger calories. That's pretty much the context behind why I'm eating what I'm eating right now. So hopefully that kind of provides some kind of value and some kind of insight into my kind of thought process around this. Okay, so I have changed locations, but now I am going to make my third meal of the day, so this will be kind of like lunch. So yeah, this is going to be lunch. So I'm going to have a sirloin steak, so there's about 200 grams of that there, 500 grams of potatoes. I am going to have some broccoli, I have about 200 grams of this, and then I am going to cook my steak in rapeseed oil. I'm going to use salt and pepper to season pretty much everything. Okay, so some key kind of considerations here with the actual cooking process. So I'm going to steam my broccoli. So I'm going to put it in this little Tupperware container here, fill it with a little bit of hot water from the kettle, and coat it with the cling film, stab a few holes in it, and put it in the microwave for a few minutes. These are getting air fried because, you know, air fryers are amazing. And then we'll be pan frying this. Okay, so yeah, you may see that there is a good deal of misinformation when it comes to seed oils. Okay, you'll see people say that seed oils are dangerous, they're unstable in the body, you don't want these because they can oxidize rapidly within your body and kind of damage your cell membranes. Okay, so that is kind of a half truth. So typically we don't see these effects within the human body. The kind of studies that point towards these outcomes are actually in vitro models. So in vitro essentially means that it is not in a living organism, so it'll be done within a test tube or a petri dish. Other studies that may point towards this are done in animal models. So again, we have different physiology to most animals, so the way seed oils act in our body is going to be different to like the rabbits that they may have used in their studies. However, if we are eating a decent amount of saturated fat, so saturated fat is going to come from animal products. So you will see saturated fat I've had in my day-to-day so far comes from dairy. So the saturated fat in dairy seems to be is actually associated with better health outcomes, which is kind of surprising given the actual nature of saturated fat and the way it kind of stands within the rest of the literature. But then again, I've had eggs, so there's going to be some saturated fat there too. Having a sirloin steak here, going to be more saturated fat. So it's a good idea for us to try bring up the overall amount of polyunsaturates within the diet, improve the overall healthfulness of the diet, lower our kind of cardiovascular risk over the long term. So if you have high saturated fat in your diet, it's a good idea to increase polyunsaturates as well as increase fiber intake within the diet, because that's going to help you recycle the cholesterol, though you don't have too much of it in your body at any given time. That is the sound you want to hear. Very important is having the stopwatch. I'm going to do 2 minutes aside. That should be perfect. There she is, base. She's a beauty. So yeah, this is meal number 3 now. See, you got the juicy steak there, all the proti, and we have a huge side of broccoli too. Looking forward to getting stuck into this. So tactically, gonna let that sit for a few minutes, give it a bit of time to rest. It tastes a little bit nicer. No idea why, just does. So yeah, gonna be a trial again and eat my broccoli first and then get stuck into the rest. So final meal of the day, about to go down. So we have 125 grams of rice. I'm gonna throw this stock cube in it for a bit of taste. Also have my protein sources here, so I'm gonna have 220 grams of chicken, and I'm gonna have an egg, and then I am gonna have my veg sources are gonna be pepper, white onion, and some garlic. I usually would have some mushrooms here, but I actually don't have any today. I need to do my shopping. This is the rice I'm gonna use, jasmine rice. It is good tack. It's much better than that basmati shoi. And then gonna have one of my fat sources is going to be cashew nuts. I'm trying to kind of replicate like a Thai cashew nut because it's like the only thing I ever order when I go anywhere. And then we have some soy sauce because I'm a soy boy. And then some fish sauce, and I'll throw in a little bit of sesame oil too. So that's pretty much it, and I'll show you it when it's done. And there we have it, last meal of the day. So overcooked and over peppered the egg just a little bit. You want to get tucked into this then, watch an episode of the Peaky Blinders, and then that's pretty much about it. That's pretty much all of my food for the day. So that is pretty much a full day of eating at 3,800 calories complete. So from tomorrow, I have to start a weight cut. I'll be doing that in another video. I'm taking you through what I'm eating those days. What I had today, that's pretty much what I eat most days. There may be some variations, maybe in seasonings used, swap around the beef and the chicken in the different meals. To be honest, it pretty much sticks at that. Now, tomorrow, as I mentioned, doing a weight cut, so diet's going to change slightly tomorrow for the next few days. And then in about 2 weeks time, when I do start my diet, I probably will do another one of these, because obviously my calories are going to change, which means then my food, my meals will probably change for the most part. In terms of quantities, won't be a huge change to actual kind of the foods I do contain within the diet, but there will definitely be some kind of modifications due to the fact that I am going to be eating less. Probably won't be able to get away with drinking lots of chocolate milk and having cranberry juice at my breakfast. Won't have that luxury. But yeah, so that pretty much wraps this video up. Hope it was useful. Hopefully gave you maybe some ideas for music you can use yourself. But then again, look, it's not going to be the last one I do. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to subscribe, like it, and share it with some of your friends. And I'll catch you in the next one.